One of the most overlooked but most important goals in life, I would say, is inner peace. We often have the same goals, to have a great dating life, to make a lot of money, right? To have a lot of fun, to be happy. All those things are great. One of the most important factors to achieving those goals more quickly, and really when you boil down those other goals, a lot of them resort to the same thing, and that's having peace of mind and inner peace. I've suffered a lot from anxiety, panic attacks, and even depression in the past, and I've worked a lot on finding inner peace of mind and calmness and happiness in my own life. So what I want to do in this video is share with you 5 things that I've discovered and I use continuously to find more peace and more happiness in my life. My first key to inner peace, and this one is really tough for most guys especially, is getting it out, okay? I don't know where we get it from, but especially men, we have this thing where, we don't like to share our emotions. We don't like to share how we feel. We like to keep things to ourselves, right? And maybe it's a stereotype that we learn from society, right? Men are supposed to be tough and brave and not show weakness and things like that. But when you keep emotions and things inside that are bothering you, they only get worse. So one of the tips that I've found, and one of the most helpful things that I do to find more peace, is getting out the things that are on my mind. The first way to get out the things that are on your head that may be bothering you or that you're really ruminating and really fixated on is by sharing it, okay? A great way of sharing the things on your mind is with really great friends of yours. Another way is sharing it with family members. Now, when I first started my self-development journey, I didn't have a lot of rich friendships. So in order to get out the things that were on my head and that were really bothering me, I would journal. I have notes and notes and notes and notes and notes. And it's not even things that were bothering me. It was just things that I was trying to figure out or things that were really on my mind. Rather than have it spinning around and whizzing around in my head all day long and bothering me, I would write it down on paper. I would journal it. I used to say that, you can't solve problems in your head. It's when you write them down and you have them in front of you, you can look at them, see what they look like, and solve it. Let's say you haven't been having much success in your dating life and you write down, okay, I want to meet more women and I haven't been having much success. So, what have I been doing? Well, I've tried this. So now you write down these things. I've tried this online app. This one hasn't worked. Let's think, the last girl I met her this way, or I've done that. Well, how many nights am I going on a week? What am I doing? What's my game plan? And you can now write down a game plan to solve that issue rather than having it bother you and keeping it in your head all the time. One of the best tips I give people when they tell me that they have issues sleeping and they can't fall asleep is I say, journal before you go to bed. Write down all the things that are on your mind. Maybe make a to-do list for the next day. Just write out those things that are spinning around in your head. Often when I do that, I sleep like a baby after. I'll do it either in the notes app on my cell phone or on, my notes that I keep tons of notes, all through my house. I have lots of notepads and things like that. I'm always writing things down because I know if it's in my head and it's something I'm trying to figure out or something that is taking up a lot of mental capacity, I like to write it down and get it off my mind. Now, if you don't have anybody that you share these things with, then I would definitely make it a priority to make some close friendships and quality connections with people, men and women alike, people that you can share this information with. I have another video on making friends, which goes over a lot of great ways to meet people. So definitely check that out if you don't have anybody to share things with. And in the meantime, you don't have to wait to make those friends. I definitely advocate people to go see a counselor, go see a therapist, go see somebody to talk about the things that are on your mind, okay? It may seem taboo to go talk to a counselor or a therapist. I've done it before. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm actually probably gonna start doing it again. I think it's great to have somebody just sit there and listen to you and give you just a little bit of feedback, once a week, once every other week, even once a month, whatever it may be, to have somebody listen and counsel with. Like I said, I have great friends that I do it with all the time. And if you don't have those, then go see a counselor and have somebody to talk about the things that are on your mind. The absolute worst thing for your peace that you could do is to have things swirling around in your head and bothering you and ruminating and not fixing them. So get them out, talk to somebody, write them down, and then you could solve them or let them go or whatever you need to do with them. Often just writing them down or telling somebody about these things will usually dissipate all the emotions that you have around them. Now, the second tip to inner peace that I do every single day is meditation, okay? I know you've heard it a million times, so I'm gonna explain it very simply. I literally sit down on my couch, I have a little kitchen timer because the alarm isn't very loud, and I also like to stay away from my cell phone some mornings. I set a timer for 6 to 12 minutes, whatever I may be feeling. If I'm really rushed that day, maybe a little less time, but I set the timer, and when I set the timer, of course, my phone is on silent. It's out of hand's reach, so I can't go reach for it. And I sit there, I take some deep breaths, and I just sit with myself, okay? I sit with my thoughts. And if things pop into my mind, I don't say, oh, I gotta solve that. I just say, okay, I see that, I'm gonna let it go by. I'll get to that later. And I just let my thoughts kind of glide by like clouds, or sitting on the side of the street and letting cars just go by. Let your thoughts go rather than trying to engage and solve them, okay? Even if I'm sitting and I'm meditating, I think of something I need to do that day, I take a deep breath and I let it go and say, after the meditation, I'll probably remember it later and I'll get to it then. I practice the act of not engaging with every single thought that I have. If you're at the whim of every thought and every emotion that you have, you're going to be very stressed and very anxious. So if you could practice that meditation every single day, let your thoughts go by. It's one of the most powerful things you can do. There's a zillion studies on how powerful and how effective meditation is. So it's definitely something to add into your routine. I like to have a trigger for it. So my trigger is first thing in the morning, I have a quart of water with a little bit of lemon, drop of Himalayan salt. I sit down, drink the water, and then I set my timer. I meditate right away, first thing in the morning. Now, this third key to inner peace is a person. This person is Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, but I found Wayne Dyer's material to be so helpful to me to find peace. There's a book that I've been reading for a bit, and it's taken me so long to read because I'm really going through it tightly and highlighting all this stuff because nearly every word in it is gold, and it's called Your Erroneous Zones. Okay, it's now become a recommended reading that I have all of my students read. It's a fantastic book. There's also a movie on YouTube called The Shift, which is very moving and fantastic about how to not be so ambitious and hard on yourself and find purpose and meaning and peace with yourself. So that's a great movie to watch. There's also an audio on YouTube called Making the Shift, and it's a long audio, maybe 4 to 6 hours or something like that, but I definitely listen to it in chunks, and I've listened to it several times by now. All the Wayne Dyer stuff is fantastic. All you got to do is type it in the search bar on YouTube, and all his stuff is on there for free. And man, I can't say enough about his message and what he preaches and his advocacy for peace of mind, for purpose, and for letting things be and not being so controlling and hard on yourself. And he's fantastic, so definitely check him out. Now, the fourth tip for inner peace is moving from criticism to acceptance, okay? Criticism is a habit that you not only practice with yourself, but with others, okay? When somebody's doing something and you're really critical of them and saying, they shouldn't be doing that, or they're doing it like this, or they do it like this and that, you're actually practicing the habit of criticizing and disapproving. And what happens is you often reflect what you do, okay? Me and my buddy were talking the other day about how someone was telling him that he was a certain way, and the certain way that they told him that he was, let's say they said he was stubborn, just for an example. He said he was stubborn. The person who called him stubborn was actually super stubborn themselves. So they were projecting how they felt about themselves onto other people. And that's a perfect example of how criticism goes both ways. So if you're criticizing people and maybe putting people down or saying they should do this or should do that, you're often doing that with yourself and saying, maybe why am I doing this? Or I should work harder, or I should have done this and I should have done that. And you wind up shooting all over yourself. I can't tell you how many successful men that I meet, and not only successful men, but men who are on a fantastic journey towards success, and they're so critical and so brutal to themselves. They're always criticizing and saying, damn, I messed that one up, or I didn't do this right, or I should have did this, and maybe because of, and they're just so tough on themselves. When I tell them, I say, hey, look, you're going for this. You're trying this. Most people won't even try this. Have some respect, have some love, have some acceptance for yourself. Accept where you're at right now. Be happy where you're at. Be happy that you're working towards the goals that you're going towards. And have that kind of happiness right now, because the more peace you have now, the more free your mind is to keep working towards the things that you want in your life. There's nothing wrong with wanting things and striving and moving forward, but if you're beating yourself up and you're miserable along the way, I'll tell you what, when you get the result, you're going to be miserable when you get there too. So you better practice being happy and accepting yourself now, because when you get what you have, you're just going to want something else. And the fifth key, the last key for inner peace that I use, is letting go of things that you can't control. Okay, what can't you control? You can't control the reactions of other people. You can't control the weather. You can't control politics. You can't control what's on the news. You can't control a lot of things. You often can't control the results you get when you put in an action. You know, I respect effort as much as results, because I know if you respect and if you make the effort, the results will come down the line. You can't control the reactions and things of other people, okay? A big thing is if people disagree with us or somebody says something bad about us, man, we really like to take that to heart and things really bother us, but we can't control it, right? And if someone's acting in a certain way, back to what I said before, you know, not criticizing them, switching over to acceptance. You know, I have a reminder on my phone that goes off once a week, and I think about all the people in my life that I may be disapproving of and may not be agreeing with their journey. And I say, you know what? You know, they're on their path and they're doing the best that they can and they're doing what they think is right now. And I'm gonna send them love and acceptance. And when I do that, not only is it just something I do for them, but it's something I do for me. And I find a lot of peace after doing an exercise like that. I was reading an interesting book the other day by a great psychologist, and he said that the main cause of generalized anxiety, which is just an undercurrent of stress or anxiety, the main cause of it is trying to control too many things. When you could just let go, especially like I said, of those things that you have no control over, let them be, let them unfold as they may, then you'll find a lot more peace. So I encourage you to utilize the 5 steps that I outlined for you in this video. And inner peace is one of the biggest issues that I see with my students. They're often super hard on themselves, and it's something that I've struggled with so much in the past, you know, being too tough on myself, you know, being anxious and trying to figure things out and really trying to get a hold of all this stuff. And finding more peace has been one of the best things that I've done in my life. So I really encourage you to apply what I share with you in this video. I'm really happy to put this out there. And if you have anything that's helped you find more peace, please share with us, put it in the comments below, and let's make each other better.